I hope you're all having a wonderful day and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm reviewing the new Stoned Vibes palette from Urban Decay. It's so beautiful. It literally just came in the mail 2 hours ago. It's Urban Decay sent this to me because I'm on their PR, so thank you, Urban Decay. I was so excited to see this. I saw it on Instagram first and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. It has some absolutely beautiful shadows. A lot of it is shimmer shades and they have 4 matte shadows. In this video, I'm doing a tutorial on the eye look I did today, and then at the very end, I'm doing some swatches and doing a review, just talking about the shadows and my thoughts on the packaging and all that. So I hope you guys are excited, and let's jump into it. I went ahead and did one eye off camera. Honestly, it was just for me to get some practice and figure out what exactly I was doing. I was so inspired by all the colors in the palette. I really had no idea where to start or what I was going to do. Originally, I thought about just doing a complete just glitter eye, something really simple, but I decided to go ahead and use some of the matte shadows in the palette. I started off actually with Good Karma and used that on my brow bone, as I'm going to show you guys, and then also used all the matte shadows actually to create this eye look. And I love how it turned out. I was really surprised at how some of these shadows turned out, because in the pan they look a little bit different. Like, I thought Raw Energy was going to be a lot darker than it ended up being, and so I had to kind of change things up a little bit. But I think I actually almost successfully used every single shadow in this palette, which was not intentional at all, and you definitely don't need to. I'm gonna show you guys on this side which shadows I feel like you could use to create this eyeshadow look. But I had a lot of fun creating this, and first of all, can we talk about how gorgeous this palette is? I was so excited to play with this just by looking at the packaging. I know I feel like that shouldn't really impact how well a product does, but for me, I just absolutely love this. I think it's so beautiful, and I definitely feel inspired to do like a look kind of similar to this, maybe for Halloween. I don't know. Starting off with the eyeshadow, I actually am going to go in first and prime my eyelids. I already used a little bit of this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and pop this back on. This is just their primer potion in the original. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that on with my finger and make sure that's just kind of even everywhere. And I did use their brush to create this entire eyeshadow look. I feel like sometimes the brushes that come in their palettes are a hit or a miss, but I really did like the blending brush on this brush in particular. I feel like sometimes they're just too long and it doesn't really blend things out. It just kind of moves things all around. And I do feel like that could be an area of improvement for Urban Decay. But I do like this one. It's a little bit shorter and denser than some of their other brushes. Like the brushes I'm thinking of are the ones that come in the Naked palette. And this obviously is not like a Naked palette design. Those ones have like 12 pans, I think it's 12, all the way across. And these ones are all square, so it does look different. It definitely reminds me more of the Electric palette, and I feel like that's kind of the vibe they're going for. So far, I really love the way it looks, and I like the packaging, and I do like the brush that it comes with. I went ahead and cleaned off the brush after I used it. I'm going to pick up the shade Good Karma and just place that right underneath my brow bone. I do have to say too, I don't know if the quality or the way that they did these matte shadows is different than how they've done other shadows in the past, but I really felt like they blended together really well. There have been times where I've really struggled with Urban Decay shadows, especially their matte shadows, and just getting them to blend out. Sometimes their shimmer shadows also are a struggle, but I really loved using these matte shadows, which is kind of a surprise because obviously when you look at this palette, the shadows that really stand out are the ones that are like the main shimmer ones, but I really love how these look. And I really love that it looks like a matte shadow, but obviously you can tell it has a really soft shimmer to it. And if I pop that on in the inner corner, just using the brush, it is really pigmented and it really does pop. Granted, if you were deeper in complexion than me, I'm not sure how this would look on you. It might look a little ashy. For me, for like a highlight, it doesn't even look like a highlight though in the palette. It looks like a matte shadow. But I love that it's a little bit reflective and I feel like it looks really nice. The next shade I'm taking is the shade Antidote. I'm taking that on the fluffy side of this brush. And I'm gonna focus this color on the outer portion of my eye, just kind of laying that down and blending that up into the Good Karma shade, just as a base. Because really in the end, you're not gonna really see a ton of it. But I like to add on a couple different shadows so that way it really looks nice and blended. I'm also kind of pushing this up in the inner corner bone area as well. And then taking the shade Hexed and still using that fluffy side, I'm just going to lightly tap into that. Just not like a ton, just lightly tap and pack that on. So really just concentrating that in the lower portion of my eye, not going too high with that. And I will kind of just softly kind of wing that out or really blow it out. Again, nothing too fancy, just kind of lightly blending that, really trying to make almost like a triangle shape. Kind of just patting that on and then lightly sweeping it outwards. And really just extending that right to where my brow ends, or maybe a little bit past that. Actually, I'm also taking Hexed and putting that right in the inner corner area, kind of like I mentioned, right by my nose. I feel like this really does give my eyes an interesting shape and gives them more of a contour and really add some definition as well, especially because my eyes are slightly hooded where you can see the hood of my eyelid, and it's my actual eyelid, I feel like ends up here. It's where my bone is, but it appears like it's lower down here. So I feel like when I do this, I'm able to really extend my lid space and use more of it. So picking up the shade Vibes, and I'm also using this on my ring finger. I would really suggest using your hands or using your fingers to apply these. I think you're gonna really get the best payoff as opposed to using the brush. I didn't really see much color from using the brush, and that's pretty typical, honestly, with most shimmers. And I'm taking the shade Vibes, and I'm just going to pack that on the outer corner of my eye. Actually, I said outer corner, I meant middle to outer area. I'm just kind of pressing this in to really build up the pigment, and I am going slightly higher than, or right underneath, if I were to touch my eye and feel the bone, I'm going right up to where that bone is. You can see when I look straight ahead and my crease is, it's actually above where my hooded crease is, but I'm going all the way up there because then when I'm like looking down, when I'm looking straight, it'll kind of be in the same spot and you can still see it. And that was kind of the goal with bringing those shadows up a little bit higher than I naturally would. So that's about as far as I'm going to bring it. And then taking the shade Hexed on the brush, I'm going to just lightly tap over that to really blend and kind of make that color a little bit darker. I'll just lightly kind of go on top of that, brushing it, kind of patting it. I'm also gonna take a little bit of the shade Raw Energy, actually. It's really not picking up. I don't know if it's something with the shadow. It's like barely, you can't really see that. It's barely picking up. I'll see if it does anything. It does a little bit. It creates more of like a silver, oh, there we go. It creates more of like a silver shimmer. And then what I'm doing next is actually taking, oh, I think I took Mediate. Oh, I did do that in the outer corner because it was a little bit darker. There we go, that's what I did. So now you can see I've used a couple different shadows. Honestly though, if you wanted to, you could just use Mediate and Vibe. Is it Meditate, sorry. Taking Meditate, that makes a lot more sense given the theme of this palette. And you could honestly just take Meditate and Vibes and just use those two shadows and you'd be totally fine. You don't need to use all three, but I mean, since you have it, you might as well use it. Then taking the shade Opal Aura, which I was really excited about, looks so pretty. And just tapping into that again, using my finger and placing that right in the inner corner of my eye. So what I like to do is just kind of press it on and pull it inwards. So that way the majority of the pigment is right on the crease there. And that way I don't necessarily need to cut my crease using a concealer, using a primer. I can kind of just cut my crease using the shadows themselves. And I will take the smallest amount of Opal Aura as well on the inner corner. Once all the shimmers are on, I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Third Eye and start really kind of bringing that out like I did on the other side. And I like to start too when there's less product on the brush. So once I've kind of patted most of it off, that way it will kind of just start to really lightly create that shape. And I know I'm not going in with too much pigment. I'll also take a little bit of Third Eye just to really define the inner corner area. Then what I'm doing next is I'm actually taking the flatter side of this and dipping into the shade Jade. And it still didn't do a ton. I might have to use my finger again when I apply this, but just start really using that and packing that on underneath my eye, really tight to my waterline. But it's not really picking up a lot of pigment, and really what it's doing is just kind of creating some fallout. What I'm gonna do is actually pick up Jade on my finger a little bit and just kind of press it in. There we go. And it's not gonna be super clean, but I still think the green was a really fun way to pair in almost all the shades in the palette. What I'm doing now is taking the shade Third Eye and just really lightly tapping into that and just slowly starting to blend that in with the Jade shade on the lower lash line. That's it for the eye look. So what I'm going to do now is apply a little bit of eyeliner, some mascara, and false lashes, and come right back to show you guys what it looks like all together. I love the colors in this. I think it looks so pretty. And now I'm gonna show you guys the swatches as well, because I'm sure you guys are interested in that. A couple different things though with the swatches. I actually swatched, what is this? This is the P. Louise base on this arm, and I feel like that's a pretty typical base people like to use when using shadows like these. So I did swatch that on this arm as a base, and then on this side I used a tiny bit of the primer potion from Urban Decay, like right here, just so I can maybe swatch one shade and show you guys what it looks like with and without primer. But the rest of my arm has no primer on it, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start swatching these. So starting off with the shade Good Karma. So that's what it looks like, and then swatching it. Oh, where am I? I'm gonna swatch this over here. I actually haven't done swatches in a really long time, but the past couple times I've done reviews, people have wanted swatches, so that's what we're doing. I'm gonna do all the mattes first, actually. The next shade is Antidote. That's Antidote. Then we have Hexed and Third Eye. That's what those swatches look like. I'm gonna back up so you guys can see. All right, so those are those. Now taking the shade Jade. Ooh, that feels really nice. Yeah, that one's gonna be good. Looks pretty nice, has reflex gold in it. Then taking Opal Aura. Looks like that. Next, I'm taking Tiger's Eye, which I did not put on my face, but I was really excited, and this one feels really nice. It's Tiger's Eye. Then we have Vibes. And then next we have Bloodstone. Ooh, that's a cool one. I thought that one was gonna be green, but it's more like a red. Also running out of space here. Then we have Oho. Looks like that. That one's really pretty. And Raw Energy, that I was actually kind of disappointed by. Yeah, you can see that one doesn't really show up. And then we have Meditate, not Mediate. And that's it. So those are all the shadows. And I didn't really dig around in them. I know some people with their swatches, they will really like dig in there, but I just try to do it as accurately as possible. Actually, some of them look really pigmented. Like honestly, Tiger's Eye, very pigmented. Same with Oho. Bloodstone is a completely different color than I thought it would be. It's more like a red shade. That actually probably would have done really nicely in the outer corner. So I'm gonna try doing just the shimmers on this side. Oh yeah. For the spot that has the primer in it, I'm actually gonna do Jade. That one looks interesting. So right here, this is where I put the Urban Decay Primer Potion. So that was Jade. I'm so bad at these, I'm so sorry. That was Jade right there without any sort of primer, and this is with the primer. So you can tell the primer definitely does make a difference. And then on the other side, my hands are all like, ugh. On the other side, I'm going to do just the 4 shimmers. I feel like with the mattes, you got a pretty good idea. They are really pigmented. Honestly, this is all no primer. So on this side, I'm gonna start with Jade. So this is Jade, Opal Aura, Tiger's Eye, Vibes. Got a little bit of Jade in there, the Vibes. Let's see, Bloodstone. Ooh, yeah, that's a better swatch. Oho. Raw Energy. Try to really dig in this one this time and see if maybe that will help my... It's still pretty pearlescent. And Meditate. I don't know why that's so hard for me. So that's what the swatches look like on the P. Louise side. So with the primer, I definitely feel like it makes a difference. That's, oh my gosh, I'm the worst at these. This is so embarrassing. What you can see though, honestly, what I can tell looking at both of these, it definitely looks more pigmented. It's about the same, but to me overall, it does look more pigmented. These are more, I would say, a wash of color. They're really not super super pigmented. And you can build them up, but they're not anything super crazy pigmented. I'm really losing light here. It's honestly because I'm using natural lighting and it just goes away pretty quickly. So I'm gonna kind of go over this. And one thing I did really want to show you guys is on their promo, I feel like you guys can see that pretty well. Like I try to make my lighting as accurate as possible and as neutral as possible. If you see these shadows and you see the promo and you see how vibrant they look, I almost feel like it's misleading in a way, because when I saw the promo and even the videos on Instagram, I was really excited about this palette because, I mean, for example, looking at the shade Raw Energy, that was the one that looks really iridescent and I had a really hard time with making look colorful. And some of these do look this bright, but especially this one, Hexed, that looks like a deep red, and this one looks like a vibrant purple, but in real life, it's not like that at all. And I think maybe that's what I was having a hard time with. Here, I'll try not to blind you guys. I'm gonna show you guys side by side. Those are the same shades and the same shadows. So you can see in real life how that looks next to the promo. And obviously they're gonna do what they can to make their eyeshadows really pop. But for me, I feel like it's just too saturated. I mean, the green is probably spot on, the shade Jade. I also say the shade Good Karma is pretty spot on. But look at the difference between the shade Hexed in the promo versus the picture, and even the shade Raw Energy. That was the one I was having a hard time with. Look at the colors and even Meditate and seeing how different it is. And I think that was kind of challenging because when you see the promo, you think you're gonna get shadows like these, but then it looks a lot more muted in real life. Overall, I'd say the box actually pretty accurately matches the shades. I still think that one purple shade though, it looks nothing like that, especially when you, maybe at first, but when you start pushing into it, you realize it's not like that. It's really cool though. I mean, these are really beautiful shades, but that's the only thing I would really say is that I was surprised at how the shadows that I was expecting to see, especially after watching the promo. I was really excited about this on Instagram. So what happened was so I'm on Urban Decay's PR. I'm very thankful to be on their PR, and the way they do PR is they'll reach out to you and they'll say, hey, this is kind of an idea of what's coming up. They won't tell you specifically what it's going to be, but they're like, hey, if you like sparkly eyeshadow, you'll probably like our next product. And then you can sign up for it. So I hadn't signed up for it. I just got a lot of emails and it was just lost in my inbox. And I found out about it by seeing on their Instagram they were releasing this, and I saw the pictures of this and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally must have missed this because I would have remembered seeing something like this. So I quickly found the email and I was like, hey, hopefully it's not too late. I would still love to get this product. It looks so beautiful, like right up my alley. I'm really excited about it. And so they were able to send this to me, and I literally just got this in the mail today. I don't know when I'm going to edit and film and upload this, but I got it in the mail today on Monday. And I literally just, as soon as it came in the mail, I just slapped on the makeup and I was excited to film with it. And I really do love it. I think it's really pretty. I love just the packaging of it. I love these shadows. I think they're beautiful. The only thing though is that I feel like I thought it was going to be different than what it was, and I like how pretty they are, but when I saw it, I was kind of surprised at how muted they were, because I thought by seeing the promo and everything that they're going to be a lot more vibrant than they actually are. Overall, looking at the eyeshadows though, and again, this is a natural lighting, so I don't have fancy like studio lights or anything on me right now. I love how they look. I think they're really beautiful. I think they wear nicely. I'm really impressed by the matte shades. I feel like sometimes Urban Decay, I have a hard time with their matte shades and their shadows and just blending them. This side was the first side I practiced on, and I was amazed at how smooth this looks in particular, because I feel like sometimes I have a really hard time blending these out. This side isn't as smooth as this side, but still it looks really nice. I feel like the shadows do really pop and they are really pigmented. I feel like the texture of Jade and Tiger's Eye and Ojo are really creamy. And I'd say Opal Aura and Raw Energy are very similar and they're very sheer. Again, I wasn't expecting that from Raw Energy just because of where it's placed on the palette. I would have guessed that the ones on the top that are lighter, because it kind of goes lighter to darker. I would have guessed the ones that are on the top would be more sheer. Like I totally could have seen that with Opal Aura. I was kind of surprised by Raw Energy, but I still think it's really pretty. I was just expecting more, I guess, from what Bloodstone, that kind of a deeper red. I was expecting that more from Meditate or from Raw Energy. So overall, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you guys are interested in? So this palette is worth $54, which is a lot of money. There's a lot of eyeshadow palettes nowadays. I feel like that was pretty standard, especially about 10 years ago when I first started using makeup. I was using the Urban Decay Naked palettes. All their palettes, I believe, have been around $54, so that is really standard for them. But I feel like in comparison to other palettes that we're seeing nowadays, we're getting things that are a little bit less expensive, like from Morphe. So this does fit in what you would buy one of their palettes for. I feel like the design is more in line with the Electric palette than like the Naked palette, so I definitely wouldn't really compare it to those. But I do feel like the colors are really pretty, and I feel like this is really great for fall, especially doing Halloween looks. I could easily see myself doing one of these looks as well, like just taking the Jade shade and just swiping that on and doing a super easy eye look with this. This will be really pretty for doing like fun glam looks, going out. If you are going out, I know I'm not right now, but just imagining in my brain, you know, in my head what that would look like under normal circumstances, that would be really fun. And I think it's really great for fall. I think it matches the vibe right now. So those are all my opinions. I don't know if I could give any more. Let me know what you guys think. I know I didn't do the best job with the swatches. I don't honestly ever do swatches, so I apologize for that. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys are interested in getting the palette, what your thoughts are on this, if this is something that maybe you're more interested now than you were before, if it's something you might pass on. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!